How's it going? It's Neil from the King Realty Group. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks again for joining us. We're in March now, so we are reviewing February 2019 and how it compares to February 2019. We're looking at the trends as well in 2019. It's a new month. We have 2 months under our belt as well. So stay tuned. Let's take a look. All right, guys, thanks again for joining us. We're going to take a look at the Toronto Real Estate Board stats for the month of February. Normally, guys, what we take a look at is we take a look at sales stats. We take a look at the overall GTA, what is the price point, and how does it compare to last year. We also take a look at detached homes, semi-detached, townhomes, and condos. We want to see what the trend is with that. And we sometimes also take a look at, how do we compare to the last month as well, which is January. And we're going to continue to do that for the entire year to really see where we're at, guys, and give you a better idea and understanding of what's going on in the GTA market. There are some people out there that are way more active, regular homeowners, basically buy and sell homes maybe 3 to 5 times in their whole entire lifetime. But I do talk to a lot of investors as well, and they're a little bit more vetted, a little bit more in the numbers affect them a lot more because they're involved in investments with real estate and they're putting their money up there to make money. And so very different from them. They really have a hawk's eye on these type of things and want to make sure that I'm sending you all the information so you can get it in one place. So this is what we're going to talk about now. Let's take a look at the GTA numbers for February. Let's bring it up on the screen right now and let's take a look at the numbers. So as you see, guys, we have the average GTA price at $780,397. That's actually up 1.6% from last year, which is a very encouraging number. It is actually very similar to last month's increase. It just shows that in the month of January and February, compared to 2018, we are on the upside of things. Okay, let's take a look at detached homes here. We have them at 980,941. That is down 2.1%. From the year prior. That's something that happened also last month. So we know that detached homes, because they're a higher price point, because of things like stress tests, a lot of buyers are actually not approved for these expensive homes. And for that reason, things are a little bit dwindled when it comes to sales of detached homes. But as you see here, it actually dropped in price a little bit as well. We also remember that a couple of years ago, we had very, very high prices for all different housing types. And, detached homes were running in the upward direction. And so now we kind of have a little bit of a adjustment over the last couple of years and months. And so we're still seeing that in detached homes here. Still a strong price. And overall, we're up, but detached homes are down 2.1. So let's take a look at towns here. Semi-detaches first. We have that number at 832,569. What a big difference compared to detached homes. We're up 9.9% for semi-detaches. That's actually very surprising to me too. I've been doing this for the last 2 years or so, these videos, and 9.9 for a semi, that's pretty significant. There could have been a handful of properties in the mix there that brought up that average, but very encouraging to see that in semis. When we look at townhomes, this is the first time actually in a while that I've seen a decrease in towns. We have them at 635,693, and it's down 0.5%. So less than 1% down from last year, which isn't really that big of a difference. But at the end of the day, there is a little bit of a slight decrease. Let's take a look at condos, guys. Condos, again, same sort of thing, 562,161 and up 6.1%. So we've been seeing that along the, we've been seeing that for the last year. I think there's been over a year, maybe I want to say that it's been 16 months of consecutive increases for condos. And this is all throughout the whole, Ontario housing policies, ups and downs in different housing types. Condos have been very resilient. And we're going to talk about this a little later. And we talked about it last month as well. But condos are kind of driving the price increases in the GTA, in addition to other low entry level types of homes, because that's what people can afford. And, we have a huge, in a lot of cases, maybe almost from 40 to maybe 50% of sales, a lot of times are from first-time home buyers, and guess what? They can afford entry-level homes. So that kind of makes sense to me. That's that, guys. Let's take a look at the sales here. Let's put this up on the screen as well. We got sales at 5,025. That's actually down 2.4% from last year. So sales have actually decreased a bit. But one thing that I wanted to kind of focus on, and we'll talk about this in a bit, is that home listings have actually decreased greater than the decline in sales. That means we're in a bit of a tighter market. So let me repeat that again. New listings have actually declined more since last year than sales. So there's less listings than there are in sales, which means that, there's actually less inventory out there, even though there's been a little bit less sales as well. You got to also remember, guys, that this is actually pretty good considering that February, January were pretty hectic when it comes to our weather. And remember, I said last month, we had some snow days and all that sort of stuff. Well, February wasn't any different really. And now that we're in March, you're seeing that it's still kind of up and down. There's still a little bit of flurries. There's still, a bit of weather out there, and it's still kind of cold. So despite that stuff, people were still getting out there and buying homes, selling homes. And so that stuff was still happening despite the weather. So you got to keep that in mind as well. And so now let's pull up their months of inventory, guys. This gives us a better idea if we're in a seller or buyer market. Again, just to give you a better idea what the numbers look at. And I take a look at two things. I take a look at the ratio. I take a look at months of inventory, but I also take a look at ratio. And we're playing with the same numbers here. It's really active listings in comparison to sales in a month. And that kind of gives us an idea if we're in a buyer or seller market. When we're looking at months of inventory, when we see around 4 or 5 months of inventory, in a lot of cases, we can say that that's a balanced market. There's a little bit of pull on the buyer side, a little bit of pull on the seller side. If we're above 5 months of inventory, 6, 7 months of inventory, which we've seen in York region a couple of months of last year, we're more of in a buyer's market, right? It takes a lot longer, a few more months longer to actually sell all the inventory in those regions. When you have over 5, 6 months of inventory, that kind of shows that buyers have a lot of options, and it's kind of more on their side. When you have less than 4 months of inventory, and in a lot of cases, you're going to see we're around 2 months of inventory, basically all year last year, and then we're going to see that in this month as well. Technically, we're in a seller's market. Technically, sellers have a little bit more pull, and as long as you're pricing things right, that's kind of true. We just got to price things right. I think that's the biggest key here. Not everything sells, and I think pricing is very difficult because we have years in the past where things were such high prices that it's difficult for people to understand or even stomach the fact that their price is lower than it was a couple of years ago. But that's probably true for a lot of people. Okay, so keep that in mind, guys. Let's put these numbers up and we'll take a look. Oh, sorry, and just to kind of show you about the ratios, in a lot of cases when we have over 40% active listings to sales in a month, we want to kind of see that as more of a buyer's market. Okay, anything between let's say 40 to 60, we want to see that that's more of a balanced market. Anything below 40% is more so a buyer's market, which means that there's a lot more inventory for people to actually purchase. So those are the numbers we kind of look at. And so that's why I include both of them, because it gives you a little bit of a different perspective. And at the same time, depending on who you are, you may be more comfortable using month of inventory. Some people are more comfortable using sales to list ratio. Okay, let's look up the numbers and let's compare the different regions here. So now that it's up, we see that in Toronto, we have 2.09 months of inventory, which when we're talking about months of inventory, technically a seller's market. I'll tell you for sure that there's some communities in Toronto and surrounding areas, they're doing bidding wars again. They're putting prices low and they're getting, a handful of offers and the price is higher than what they listed it for. That is happening today. Okay, so, I'm not fully surprised that that's the case. But there are some other markets within Toronto as well that it's not the case. So it really all depends on where you live, okay? And if you want some information on that, depending on where you live and want to know numbers about your particular neighborhood or community, you get in touch with us, guys, and we'll give you those specific numbers. I think that really makes a difference, okay? When it comes to the sales to active listing ratio, we're at 48% sales to active listing ratio for Toronto. And again, I said if we're from 40 to 60, we're kind of in a balanced market. So that number shows that we're kind of balanced. The other one shows we're kind of sellers. It really all depends on your particular situation. When we look at Durham, guys, we at 2.57 months of inventory, again, technically sellers, and about 39 sales to active listing. We just dipped below 40 when it comes to sales to active listing, which, based on those numbers, it kind of shows us we're kind of in a buyer's market. We're maybe 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, something like that, guys. Really all depends on your situation in Durham and exactly where you live. Again, you can have a difficult time selling your home. I want to say that is true. So, reach out to us if you want to get more information about your particular location. I think that really makes a difference. Let's take a look, guys, at Peel region here. We have it at 1.95 months of inventory. 1.95 months of inventory in Peel region. That's interesting. That's below 2%. Things are tightening up in Peel region for some reason. So Mississauga, Brampton, things are flying off the shelves apparently. And if we look at the sales to active listings, we're at 51. We're inching closer to that 60 or more, which is a seller's market. So Peel region, hey, it looks like things are moving out there. That's what our numbers are telling us anyways. Let's take a look at York region, guys. York region, a little bit of a contrast here. We have it at 4.3 months of inventory. Last year, we had a few months at 5 plus, which means things are moving out there now. Still technically a balanced market. And if we look at the number on our sales to active listing ratio, it's at 23. So we said when it's below 40, it's more of a buyer's market. So bit of a different story out there, and I'm not surprised there either. Likely you have some options, but hey, maybe a lot more successes as well on your listings and on your sales when you're listing your home. So encouraging numbers, guys, and this is kind of the picture of February 2019, just so you have an idea. And it's nice to compare. So we're gonna see maybe in the future months in our videos, we're probably gonna have some historic data. I think I'm gonna switch it up a little bit to show you not just what's going on in February, but what happened in the previous like 3 months, let's say. So you can see a trend versus me just talking and spending time talking about February out of context. Like you guys might not know what to compare that to. So I'm thinking, and we're probably gonna end up doing that for April, where we're gonna have a little bit of a comparison. You know, respond to this email, guys. Let me know if you think that's a cool idea, where you can see, you know, February versus January versus December 2018, kind of what that 3-month trend is. And then like, we'll keep doing that every single month. So you kind of see the trend versus just me talking about 1 month. I think that might be something I'm going to do. Okay. But yeah, just to give you an idea of things always running through my head at the end of the day. So the last thing, guys, is we cover a few highlights. So a few of the key things that we noticed happened in February, and some of the stuff that we want to kind of look forward to going forward. One of the things, guys, is that I mentioned earlier, the year-over-year decline in listings, which is actually greater than the year-over-year decline in sales. So that kind of shows us that there's less listings, less inventory, despite the sale drop as well. It's a tighter market. That means that, you know, there's less inventory for buyers to purchase, and that normally creates an environment of, you know, increased prices, because if there's less inventory, even though there's less sales, okay, but way less inventory than the sales, then that shows that we're in a tighter market, and that environment normally pushes up our price. But we're going to see if that's the case. Okay, other things, guys, is that you know, price growth again was largely driven by condo or low entry homes, lower priced homes, entry level homes, and that kind of makes sense. Again, I said first time home buyers is a chunk of sales in a year. They take up a good portion of that, and what can they afford? Well, based on stress tests and all these little things that really impede people from buying and lowers their purchasing power. This is why condos and lower priced homes are really driving their price up, and why we see you know, significant increases in price in those type of homes versus the more expensive detached semis and things like that. Okay. Other thing, guys, is what is TREB doing? TREB is actually pushing OSFI, which is really the government body that implemented this stress test, and really, which is good. I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons to it. I think the pro is that our market stabilized. We're going in an unsustainable direction. Our prices were increasing way too much. I think a lot of real estate agents might tell you, hey, that's amazing, prices are increasing, you know, buy now, but that can't happen forever. And, you know, when I say unsustainable, it means that, you know, it's going to outpace our income. There's going to be a point where people can't even buy anything anymore, right? And really it's the investor and the people with deeper pockets that are going to benefit from things like that. And so it's good that we kind of, the stress test was implemented. I like that it was implemented to uninsured mortgages, insured mortgages, people who put less than 20% down. But then they went again and said, look, we're going to apply this rule to people who are putting more than 20% down as well. So it really just affects absolutely everyone. And we're questioning that now, right? Because people can't afford homes, and it's impeding them from actually moving forward. And there's a lot less sales, and we're noticing that in our numbers now. You know, the peak of 2016, which is our sales bench, you know, it's a benchmark, was our the highest sales I think ever in TREB, right? And we're a lot lower than that now in the last 2 years preceding. So for that reason, you know, we're kind of sounding the alarm here. So TREB is saying, look, obviously we need to review the stress test. We need to maybe not remove it, but instead of that extra 2% that you add on top of the mortgage interest rate approval you get today, maybe make it 1.25, maybe make it 1.5, maybe make it different for first time buyers than it is for someone buying their second, third, fourth home. Have some like tiers set in, you know, that might help, I think, right? Because it's going to allow people who are affected mostly to at least get in the market, and people who already have a bunch of homes or you know, investors buying additional homes, they're going to be slapped with a stress test to make sure that they're not overspending. That might work, right? And so TREB is really pushing for that review of the stress test, and we want to see if that's something that actually may happen. You know, one thing that I've heard rumors that people are going to drop that 2%. A lot of recommendations from different people that, you know, hey, why don't we put 1.25 for first-time home buyers and leave the 2% for everyone else? I mean, those are different solutions that can be put in play, and it'll be interesting to see over the next few months if that's something that's going to happen. All right. Okay, guys. So thanks so much again for you know, staying with us and watching this video. If you're here at the end, that means that you do like this and you want more of this info, and so that's great. If you guys want more information about your particular micro market where you live, or maybe you're interested as a buyer trying to get into a certain market as well, let's take a look at what the numbers are. Maybe this might be a good time for you to get in. Get in contact with us, guys. It's info@kingrealty.to, 647-931-1313, and at KingRealtyTO on most social media. Thanks again for joining us. You have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you very soon. Take care.